Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I hope you all are doing well, inshaAllah. Tonight is Saturday night, and every Saturday night we go through the du'as for protection. So, of the many means that we can protect ourselves, of the many ways that we can protect ourselves, a very, very important way is what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ himself adopted, and he taught us to adopt. And that is making dua, that is asking Allah Azza wa Jal. And there are a number of different du'as I have gone through. Today I wanted to discuss a dua which is really general, and it covers all of the major kind of things that we are struggling with currently at this moment. All of those things that we're worried about, this one dua covers all of them, right? And there's a very interesting background to this particular dua. So Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, he says that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he entered the masjid, and there was a man from the Ansar. His name was Abu Umama. There was a man from the Ansar, his name was Abu Umama, and he was sitting in the masjid. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, realizing that it's not the time for salah, he thought it was strange to see Abu Umama sitting there. So he said to him, he said, "Ma li araka ya Aba Umamata fil masjidi fi ghayri waqti as-salah." Oh, Abu Umama, why is it that I see you, that you are in the masjid outside of the time for prayer, right? And notice how the Messenger of Allah ﷺ is aware of his congregation. He knows what everybody is going through, right? He can tell that this man is usually not here. The fact that he's here means something is going on. So Abu Umama, he says, "Humumun lazimatni wa duyunun ya Rasulullah." He says, "O Messenger of Allah, I am overwhelmed. I'm overcome." By what? Humumun. By worries. By different forms of stress, anxiety, things that have occupied my mind. Waduyunun, and then to add on to that, financial struggles, debts that I have to pay back, right? And I'm overwhelmed by this. Lazimatni. There, it's, lazima in the Arabic language means to stick to something. These things have stuck onto me. I feel overwhelmed. I feel burdened. And I don't know what to do. So I'm sitting here in the masjid, just kind of thinking, reflecting, about my situation. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he tells him, he says, "Ya Aba Umama, ala u'allimuka kalimatin. إذا أنت قلتهن أذهب الله عنك همك وقضى عنك دينك." Oh, Abu Umama, what if I was to teach you a few words that if you were to say them, then Allah would take away all of your worries, all of your fears, and قضى عنك دينك, Allah would take care of your debts, the loans you have to pay back. All of that will be taken care of as well. Your financial problems and the other problems that you're going through. He said, "Na'am ya Rasulullah, of course, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, teach me." So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught him, and he said, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan." Now, before I get into this dua, a point to note here is, who is the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaching? This is Abu Umama. He is a companion of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that doesn't mean that he's not human. That doesn't mean that the companions, as righteous and as noble and as pious as they were, that doesn't mean that they did not go through difficulties, whether that be financial difficulties or whether that be just a general sense of fear, of different forms of anxiety, different forms of stress. This is something that Abu Umama radiallahu anhu is going through. So it's perfectly normal for a person to go through this, right? Many times we find people shunning people away to suppress these things, right? But we can see here the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's going to teach Abu Umama radiallahu anh how to channel that in a healthy way. So he doesn't say, "Abu Umama, you're worried, or you're concerned, you're full of anxiety. Don't you have tawakkul on Allah? Don't you rely on Allah? Or this goes against your iman." He never says anything like that. Rather, he teaches Abu Umama radiallahu anhu encouraging words that he could use to help himself cope with the situation that he's in. So he says to him, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan." The first part of the dua. And I'll write out the dua in the description so you can inshallah see it there as well. O Allah, I seek refuge in you min al-hammi wal-hazan. Al-ham and al-hazan could be translated as sorrow, as grief, and hum as a sense of worry. But there's a deeper meaning, as always in the Arabic language, behind these words. Hazan has to do with something that is past, something that you're grieving over, right? So really, when it comes to our emotions, right, we're always usually kind of grieving over something in the past. Man, I wish I could have done it this way. Or why did this happen to me? Something that's already happened. Al-hazan. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ is seeking refuge from that. And then al-ham. Ham has to do with the future, right? That's the situation of a lot of us right now. What does the future hold for us? How long are we stuck in our homes, right? Till when? Are things going to go back to normal? When are they going to go back to normal? All of these questions that are going on in our heads about the future, right? So both things the Messenger of Allah ﷺ is seeking refuge from, and both things are obstacles to a person emotionally, right? من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل. So the first two were emotional, the next two are physical. The physical barriers, the physical difficulties that a person goes through. Ajz and kasal. Ajz is the lack of ability to do something, right? When you tell yourself and you say, I can't do it, right? I can't do it. And I don't have it in me to do it, right? Ajz, there's adamul qudra. It's as if you don't have the ability to do it, or that you perceive that you don't have the ability to do it. And then kasal is laziness, and that's simply that you can do it, but you're just like, what's the point? Why should I even do it? What's the benefit? Where am I even going to go with this, right? And ajz and kasal, especially in during these times, a lot of times we may begin to lose hope. And that's why it's important to ask Allah that, oh Allah, don't make us in a situation where we either lack the ability to do it, or that we're just lazy, right? A lot of us sitting in our homes right now, we have to make sure that we're productive, right? We're productive, whether it's our work, our study, at the same time with our prayers, with our du'as, with our deen, we're productive in some way. We have to find a way to be productive, right? Finding different ways. We don't want to end up being to wasting this time and just doing something that's meaningless, right? Whether that be meaningless from the aspect of this dunya, from our deen, something that's just worthless. We don't want to do that. We want to make it a productive time, right? So, min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal. So these are four. So two emotional, two physical. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَالْبُخْلِ. These are qualitative. They have to do with a person's qualities, your characteristics. And I seek refuge in Allah min al-jubni wal-bukhl, from cowardice, from not owning up to the moment, from not being able to stand up, not being brave, right? And وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَالْبُخْلِ, and stinginess, right? Being miserly, right? Both of these things can apply to us, especially when it comes to jubn, to being a coward. This has more to do with people who are in positions of leadership, right? Whatever level that is, whether it's at an organizational level, a government level, whatever level that is, really standing up for your people, standing up, and even for individuals, standing up for your community, standing up for your family, right? It's a moment where you're not a coward, and these things are, ironically, they're both linked. So, jubn and bukhl, when you're a coward, then what ends up happening is that you don't spend either, right? Because, so the second thing is being miserly, is not being generous. And in these times, especially for those of us that have family that are in need, or that require some help, or not even family, our neighbors, or people of our community, or if you don't have anyone in your community, then there's so many places, there's so many countries, there's so many cities where people are in need of help. They're out of work. Not only are they out of work, they're barely struggling to eat at this time, right? So if we seek refuge in Allah from being a coward, in the sense that if I have some money, right, Allah has given me that position, whatever that is, I seek refuge in Allah from making me a coward, so that I'm like, if I give something from my wealth, right, then what if there's nothing left for me, right? So I don't want to share anything at this time, right? And then because I'm a coward, it leads me to being miserly, right? To not being generous, to not share with what I have. So we seek refuge in Allah from this as well. During these times, we want to be generous. We want to stand up to the moment and help those in need, right? The last two have to do with the social aspect, and that is dealing with others. So we covered the emotional part, the physical part, and then we covered the different qualities that a person should have, and then وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ غَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the overwhelming debt, from debt that could overwhelm me, from loans that could overwhelm me, any sort of financial hardship or difficulty that could overwhelm me. وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. And what happens is that once you're drowning in debt, then قَهْرُ الرِّجَالِ, then it is the oppression of people. Or what that means is that now you owe money to people, so you're in a very awkward position, right? You don't want to meet that person. All of a sudden you have this, it's very difficult for you to sleep at night because you see that you're always thinking of that debt. That person's calling you now, you're like, I have to pay that person back, whatever it is, the bank or wherever it is that you got your money from, now you have to pay that person back because you are in debt. So from debt itself, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ seek refuge. And keep in mind, Abu Umama was in debt at that time, and many people during these times, they'll go into debt, right? So Abu Umama made this dua, right? These 8 things that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, these 8 obstacles, these 8 difficult things that a person goes through, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ taught this. And he said to him that read it إِذَا أَصْبَحْتَ وَإِذَا أَمْسَيْتَ, in the morning and in the evening, right? So this should be our ma'mul, our practice should be in the morning and in the evening we repeat these du'as. And Abu Umama said, radiyallahu anh, he said that فَمَا زِلْتُ أَقُولُهَا حَتَّى أَذْهَبَ اللَّهُ عَنِّي هَمِّي وَقَضَى عَنِّي دَيْنِي. He said, I kept on repeating these du'as in the morning and the evening, and to the point that Allah, He took away my worries, He took away those things that were stressing me out. وَقَضَى عَنِّي دَيْنِي. He took care of the loans, He took care of the financial crisis I was in. Now that's not to say that we don't take the means, that we don't take the actual method of doing that. But along with that, there is a spiritual practice as well. So we take the way we have normal precautions that we're taking, we're washing our hands, we're social distancing, all of that is good and fine and necessary. But along with that, we take the spiritual precautions as well. And that's to protect ourselves, to emotionally, spiritually. And if we hang on to this dua and we recite it, we'll find great comfort and peace during these difficult times. So ask Allah Azza wa Jal that Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in you from worry, from fear, from sadness, from grief. Wa'udhu bika min al-'ajzi wal-kasal. We seek refuge in you from the lack of ability. We seek refuge in you from laziness. Wa'udhu bika min al-'ajzi wal-kasli wal-jubni wal-bukhli. We seek refuge in you from cowardice, from stinginess, وَغَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ, and from debt, and from being overcome by people. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He allows us, that He grants us refuge from all of these things, and He allows us to hang on to this dua and find comfort in His words, and that He take away the situation that we're in with ease and afiyah, and that He protect us all, and all of those that are struggling in our country, in our city, around the world. Allah helps all of them recover, and Allah Azza wa Jal brings us back together as a community. Jazakumullah khairan for joining us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.